Edit custom levels, create a new level. I think you know where I'm going with this. If you're illiterate, you don't know what I'm going for, right? Okay, word of verb is, like for example, X is X. For example, Baba is U. Baba inherits the property of U. That means an object transforms into another object as said, or inherits the properties. And X and Y is, I don't know, Z. This means X and Y either both transform into Z or both inherit the properties of Z. Or X is Y and Z. That means X transforms into Y and Z, a form of object duplication seen in Love House and Lovely House and Skull House. Or inherits the properties of both. Or you could, text stack has. In most cases, it can spawn said object when it dies. I don't mean transformation that's like transforming into something else empty or X is not X. Eat. Like you're supposed to eat your vegetables. Like you're supposed to eat your vegetables that are supposed to be deadly, but turns out you can actually eat them and still somehow be alive without any injuries. Yeah. Eat overrides defeat, and it's basically this object when standing on the other object removes the object. Fear. There is some kind of force field in the near range. That means the 8 squares follow. If you don't know what follow means, it follows it in the closest direction. So let's say there's, I don't know, an arrow here. Pretend that the mimic is an arrow, and there's an object here. Arrow follow object. This arrow will see it in this direction and therefore round it off to this direction pointing down. Make. This object creates another object. Unless it's X make X, if you're really going for that trail look. Because an object can only make an object if it does not have an object. Mimic. Let's say wall is stop and Baba mimic wall. Even though Baba isn't stop, Baba see wall but wall is stop. So Baba is jealous and Baba becomes stop. Play. It can play an instrument, and special cases are for drum, guitar, hi-hat, piano, sax, and trumpet. And finally, write. Let's say write is basically the transformation side of is, but it only works for text. Like Baba kk, like as in the object. But if you want to become text kk, you need baba write kk. Now word quality. You can control this with either the arrow keys or the WASD. Oh wait, it's not 2quay if there aren't any U2 objects. Because if there was a U2 object, you would control the U by arrow keys and U2 by WASD. Push. You can basically okay, so let's say there's a barrier you can't go through. But what if you could, just shove it away? That's exactly what push is. You basically push other stuff. But be careful, as push can make stuff stuck on walls and corners. But pull is a nice alternative. Although it's basically stop when you try to push it, it's the opposite of push, and you can get it out from corners and edges. Stop. I was not telling the viewer to stop. The quality stop, as in it basically stops a player from going through it, unless the object is phantom, which I'll get over a bit later. Move. It basically moves in a direction, It moves in the direction they're facing, and when they walk to a wall, they just bounce back, Shift. In the direction it's facing, it will shift you towards the direction that they're facing. Although you can manipulate this with right, make it face right, up, make it face up, left, make it face left, and down, make it face down. Also, these are used for special conditions, especially with facing. Because instead of, facing this, facing that, you can do facing right, facing left, yeah, like that. Fall down, fall left, fall up, fall right, and fall right. Basically mean they're pretty self-explanatory, but it's basically the Undertale attack, where the Undertale Sans attack, where it basically shoves you down. That's how fall works, with a single tick. But what if you want it to be many ticks, like move down or move right, like, I don't know, want to make a Geometry Dash clone? Well, that's how nudge works. Turn. It can also be used to manipulate. Turning, let's say it's facing, I don't know, up, and that same object is turned up clockwise. It's now facing right, and vice versa, facing left if it's counterclockwise turn. Defeat. I know this overrides win, but defeat. This object kicks the living hell out of you that so hard that you die. And get thrown away, and you get thrown into a volcano and die. Even though you're dead. Okay, hot. If an object is hot, it doesn't make sense, but if another object is melt, it can basically, melt it, eat it, or something. If an object is open, it doesn't really make that much sense, except for if there's a shut object, because the open object can open the shut object and to the loo open and shut object, you're now dead. Sink. If something is sink, that means it is shut and everything else is open. Boom. Boom. It explodes and basically deletes anything in the same tile. That means it can destroy up to 5 other objects. Safe. It is physically impossible to die. Even if you're on a defeat object, you can still be considered. But there is a special condition where you don't. When you're on an object and transform into something else that isn't you, that is considered dying. Float. It overrides defeat in a way that if it's floating above it, or the defeat object is floating above it and it's moving below it. Phantom. Okay. It can go through stop objects and push objects. But be careful, the edges of the level can kill you. Hide. You do not know where the object is because it is hidden. Reverse. If you go right, you are facing left and vice versa. Up, down, down, up. Auto. That means it's basically like move, but you will never turn back. As in, it will never go in the other direction. Back. It will go back to its initial position unless the excess back is broken. Speaking of broken nullifies all rules. Sleep. It nullifies you, but has a special animation and special particles. Speaking of nullification of motion, we have still. It can't move, but it's still able to turn. Also, we have locked downward, which means it cannot move downward. And same with the other directions. Swap. It's very hard to, push this object. Technically, push this object because anytime you try to push it basically dodges it because when you go on the same square as it basically swaps the positions. Tele. There is one tele object, a defeat wall, and another tele object. When you go on the tele object, you go to the other tele object. Weak. If it overlaps the object, it dies. Win. It wins the level. If you do not know this, you are a morbid idiot. You are considered an idiot, or you do not speak English, which I highly consider that. More. Okay, so more. It basically creates a copy in all 4 cardinal directions, orthogonal. Word. Let's say Baba is word, and Baba, as in the object, is you. That means you can move it, but you'll break it because the Baba is acting as its text counterpart, and It can speak for itself. Power. It doesn't really make sense except for powered. Like for example, X is power, powered Y is Z. That's nice. And also there's power 2 and power 3. Red, orange, yellow, lime, green, cyan, blue, purple, pink, rosy, black, gray, silver, white, brown. Best party, pet, sad, wonder. Sad and wonder are all effects. They're all visual. Red, orange, yellow, lime, green, cyan, blue, purple, pink, rosy, black, gray, silver, white, and brown are colors. Best is basically wind, but it gives off a bit too much particles. Party. It gives off confetti particles. Pet. A small hand similar to the hand sprite, except it's a bit pale. Pet's the object. Sad. It shoots off tears. Wonder. It shoots off question marks in the air. Chill. It moves in the 4 cardinal directions, but randomly. Bonus. You can collect this, and it gives off wind particles, but purple. You can get this, and it plays and then basically you got a bonus. The bonus is denoted as an orb in the game, and there's only 3 bonuses. And the only reason for bonuses to exist is the end game level gallery. End. It's basically wind but with blue particles. Done. It's not exactly wind, but it basically disappears the object. That means it kills the object. What I'm talking about is Done just makes the object float into the air and then go into Pennsylvania in outer space, and then fly to a different country. That one tribe where people hate it, people is hated and they should be executed. It lands there and gets executed. Revert. This object is that object, and that object is revert. That means it turns back into this object. Select. It can select unlocked levels. 3D. It's basically the youth property, except it's 3-dimensional. Condition. Idle. A rule that only applies when you press space. A rule that only applies when you press space or hold on mobile, of course. Lonely. An object that is not stacked with any other object is considered lonely, and rules only apply like that. Often. 3 times out of 4, the rule happens. Seldom. 5 times out of 6, the rule does not happen. On. This object turns into that object or inherits the properties of that object if it is on or stacking with the object near. It's basically the same thing with on, except it also applies to the 8 It's basically near, but it's only limited to the 4 cardinal directions. Facing. The tile directly in front of it is said object that it's supposed to be facing. Like X facing Y either inherits a property of Z or transforms it to Z. Seeing. It's basically facing, but a much longer range. Practically infinite. Only limitations being stop objects at the edge of the level. Without. The rule only applies when there is no of that object. Like for example, Baba without Keke is defeat. If there is no Keke in the level, then Baba is defeat. Above. Rule only applies when an object is above another object. Same goes with below, beside left, and beside right. Feeling. It's based all feeling. X feeling Y is Z. Basically means if X is Y, then X is also Z, or X is Z. Power. This makes sense with power, power 2, and power 3. Prefix. Are you kidding me? So, I. Don't for them next distance right. Don't forget